Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Cells Chick Show. So happy you are here. As my friend Paula Bellingham, founder of Win-Win Women, always says, we welcome you with open hearts and open arms. I am Nancy White, your host of this show. We are so thankful that you have taken time just to stop and be able to be with us. I have a question for you. Are your body's cells happy and healthy from head to toe? Maybe they need a little refreshing makeover. This program is all about our healthy mind, body, and spirit. And for optimum health, we have to nourish all three areas every day. Each week, we're going to discuss an attribute, tips, and suggestions for acquiring and maintaining. Remember, it's always more fun to maintain, right? A healthy spirit, mind, and body. And you know what? It always starts in our mind. No matter what we do, the thoughts always start in our mind before we take action and do anything else. And from time to time, we're going to have special guests to learn from and have fun with. I am a lifelong learner and I will never stop learning. And I hope that you will be able to learn some things from being with us today. And we're going to talk about our mind and our brain today. After all, it's our computer and everything starts in our mind. But we are the computer operators. Just stop for a moment and listen to that little voice in your head. Did you hear that, computer operator? A quote from Jada Pinkett Smith. Don't take your health for granted. Don't take your body for granted. Do something today that communicates to your body that you desire to care for it. Tomorrow is not promised. And how well we know that, especially as we get older. But brain health refers to the ability to remember, to learn, to plan, to concentrate, and maintain a clear, active mind. As we age, and that is our goal, is to continue to age, our experiences and knowledge keep our brains working and developing and learning. And you're never too old to start something new or to learn about something. And we'll talk about that more a little bit later on too. So a few interesting facts about our brains. And yes, I used to be a fact finder when I worked in the personnel department, in the research department. Love finding out information, that thirst of knowledge. But just a couple of things that we're going to talk about today, and we'll talk about more of them later too. But multitasking is impossible, even though us women say we're multitasking. But when we think we are multitasking, really what our brain is actually doing is called switching. That is, it's quickly switching back and forth for different tasks, rather than doing all at the same time. I used to also think too, you know what, I can multitask while I clean the toilet or do something and talk to my children at the same time. But when we're talking with each other and we're focusing on one person, multitasking it just won't get it. And the book, The Brain Rules, how great is that? BR, Brain Rules, explains how detrimental multitasking can be. Research has shown that you have up to 50% more errors when you try to multitask. And it also takes you twice as long. So remember that multitasking, just stay focused. There's certain things that we could do, but if you're working and you're doing something, just stay focused, work on it, and get it done. The adult brain weighs about 3 pounds, and the texture of our brain is like firm jelly. I thought, that's a little bit too much information, but it's good. It's a fact. But about 75% of our brain is made up of water. And don't you know, we keep hearing about how valuable and important water is. And it is. The body needs water, number one. So that means if we have any kind of dehydration, even as little as 2%, can have an effect on our brain function. And dehydration and a loss of sodium and electrolytes can cause acute changes, such as just memory function, just taking steps, to keep our body properly hydrated is so important, and even adding electrolytes to our water. We'll talk about that on another show. The human brain will triple its size the first year of life. Just had a grandbaby daughter last week be born, and looking at that precious little baby, and I think, wow, her little brain is going to triple its size in the first year of her life. A 2-year-old baby will have 80% fully grown brain. Isn't that incredible? And your brain will continue to grow until you're about 18 years old. And it isn't until we're about 25 that our human brain reaches its full maturity. Now, I can say that some people might think about some people who, even at 25, do not realize that their brain is all that mature. But you know what? We give grace to everybody. We're all unique individuals. Another fact is that headaches are usually caused by a chemical reaction in your brain or an injury. Women, our hormones are chemicals. Remember, we're all one big chemical, or just get out of whack sometimes, and you need to have some help by professionals. But also, if you just have a headache and it's not a migraine, drink 8 ounces of room temperature water. And then if in 30 minutes you still have that headache, just add a little bit of electrolytes to it. And it's a fantastic way to see if that will just take that headache right away. The human brain contains approximately 100 billion, that's billion neurons. God just made us such a miracle. And that's about the same amount as the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. So just on a clear night, go outside. You can use your phone too, because there's an app that can show you the sky and find the Milky Way galaxy. But when you go out and just look up and just realize, oh my goodness, that's how many neurons are in our brains. And so it's been a myth. We've heard over and over again, if you're old enough, that we don't use all of our brain, but the humans only use like 10% of your brain. But it's actually, we use all of our brain. And what's even more surprising is that while we're sleeping, we're using about 10% of our brain. This is a fun fact I enjoyed discovering. Cholesterol is the key to learning and memory. And we're all talking about cholesterol. We need to keep that under control, don't we? But the brain has a higher cholesterol content than any other organ in our body. In fact, it's about 25% of the body's cholesterol resides within our brain. And the brain is highly dependent upon cholesterol, but its cholesterol metabolism is unique because of the blood barrier, brain barrier prevents brain cells from taking up cholesterol from our blood. The brain must produce its own cholesterol. Isn't that incredible? And this gets even better. So when the cholesterol breaks down in our brain, it is recycled into new cholesterol right in our brain. Got this little cholesterol manufacturing center in our brain. So doctors and scientists report that we have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. I do believe that women are closer to 80,000 thoughts, especially since we speak at least 2,500 more words per day than men. But out of those 80,000 thoughts we have every day, 40,000, that's almost half, our thoughts are negative. And 80% of those thoughts are reoccurring. That's something that we've already thought about before, and it just comes back. It's like a rerun. Think about it. If 40,000 thoughts a day are negative, then a lot of our reoccurring thoughts are negative. So we need to stop just for a moment and listen to that little voice in your head. Are you hearing negative or positive message? It cannot be both at the same time. Our brain definitely cannot multitask with positive and negative messages. But guess what? You are in charge of the messages. If you feel out of control with your thoughts, we will talk about that a little bit later on. So you will hear me say so often on this show, whatever we feed grows. Yes, whatever we feed grows. That is either positive or negative. That is whatever you're putting past your mouth, whatever you're putting out to others, whatever we feed grows. It is an understatement that negative thoughts can make you feel sad, we're anxious. We all know that. Look at the countenance of so many people, the majority of people we see. It was recently reported that 1 out of 2 people are combating anxiety, even among children. So negative thoughts can make you feel sad and anxious. And again, they can rob us of the joy of life, and they can take a toll on our physical health. That's why it's so important to deal and to learn how to deal with them in a healthy way. Remember, we always have a choice. So let's go back to my stop sign. I love talking to people about my stop sign. When I was a little girl in elementary school, I was always short and little, and I always wanted to be a school crossing guard. So when a couple years ago, when I was speaking, I just had ordered my precious fun stop sign because it acts great, because it helps and gives us a visual how to stop and then to go. Because you know what? When we're having that negative self-talk, just ask yourself. Remember, we talk to ourselves all the time anyways, in that little small voice in our head. Is this true? Am I responsible for this? Do I have control over this? Sometimes we can just stop and ask that. And if it's something that we do not have control over, then we're going to have to be able to learn to BNR. It's called bless and release. But if it's something we do have control over, then that's something, and if we don't have the ability or the wherewithal to handle it ourselves, ask for help. We're going to talk about that again a little bit later too. Every negative we either hear or speak to ourselves, it takes 7 positives to overcome every 1 negative. So thinking about that number, 7, which is a great number, it's my favorite number, you come up with what works for you. What are you grateful for? Things that you love. Restate that negative into a positive. You know what? We are in control of what we tell ourselves. And sometimes I just, get a little bit lazy. So for myself, I'll just go, Jesus, 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 7 times. And I'm going, okay, there went my 7 positives to overcome that negative. So I also love to share a little story about my ducks, my little yellow ducks. I had a business partner years ago give me my little ducks, and I keep them on my desk because it reminds me. Whenever we hear any negative stories, whenever we have that negative talk, or somebody has said something about whatever it is, and it just sort of is laying on us. I know you can relate. Just pretend like you're this little yellow duck. Just let it roll right off your back and just flick your tail. So just thinking about it, just let it roll right off your back and just flick your tail. And I want you to practice that. You practice being your little yellow duck so you can just be able to let some things roll off that you don't want to keep and having over and over and over again, reruns. So again, there's some times in our lives when we don't have control over it, but we need to ask for some help sometimes. Do you remember if you've ever been raising children and all those fun incidences that happen and you're sitting there going, I didn't plan for this. I don't have any control over this, but we're going to handle it. So that's one of the things. Another area is that we're living in this beautiful but a little crazy world. We're not in control, but we can sow goodness and kindness in every single day. Think of somebody every single day when you get up in the morning and after you've asked for the renewing of your mind and gone through your time of quietness, think about somebody, say, Lord, please put somebody on my mind today that I can just reach out to. And whether it is a text, a call, just let them know that you're thinking about them. We all need to reach out. And the more that each one of us does that, that's when you will just definitely see the big difference. So some other areas that we don't have control over are sometimes people we work with. And yes, remember that BNR, we can bless and release. And a lot of us have had firsthand experiences with tragedy or illnesses. I've had my share, like I am sure you all have also. And we need each other. That's when we just need to be able to call on somebody that is a trustworthy person or a trained professional. Yes, we need to have trained professionals helping us in our journey of life. But women, we have a difficult time asking for help. Do you? Years ago, I was on a radio interview and Brian asked me, he goes, what would you have done differently looking back over the years in your business and in your life? I didn't have to think too hard. I said, Brian, I would have asked for help more and I would have accepted it because women, again, we will do it. We would rather do it than try to explain it. Don't you even know that when you're training a child up and to give him that grace and space to be able to make those little mistakes? But you know what? If we were supposed to live this life here, we would be here all by ourselves. There'd be nobody else. And something for myself also, I've had to learn to receive. I believe in releasing, receiving, and giving. But when somebody has come and they've offered to help me to do something, and I, for whatever reason, I haven't stopped and thought about it or prayed about it, say, no, I'm good. If the Lord had sent them, or if they just had that on their heart to do, and that's their gifts and talents a lot of times, what we're doing is we're cutting off that blessing for them. We really want to be mindful in doing some great collaborations and allowing other people to use their gifts and talents to sow into our lives and vice versa. Remember the win-win? So again, this is a beautiful one-way journey, and we want to continue to sow into others, but allow others to sow into ourselves. Let's look at some benefits. Don't we all love benefits of changing the channel? Now it's a remote control. This is me, the old-fashioned change the channel, but now we have remote controls. Look, changing the channel in your brain and telling yourself encouraging things. These are some benefits, a few. We'll talk about more later. It can lower blood pressure. It can reduce the risk of heart disease, which is the #1 killer, unfortunately, for women. I have been in meetings in the past over the decades, and I would share with women, you know, heart disease is the #1 killer for women. And this is what they would do. They're looking at everybody else. They're not looking at themselves. So those are some things, one great benefit. Another one is it can strengthen our immune system. That positive environment, that is incredible to help with our immune systems, even people that are sick. And we do know how valuable it is too for people that laugh. Laughter is so healing. And in so many ways, it has been incredible how people have gotten healthier, faster, recovered. It can also lower the stress levels, and we all need that. Again, it has now been reported that 1 out of 2 people are experiencing anxiety and stress, and that's even among children. So that's an area that we can use the positive switching of our brain, changing that channel to help with that too. It can also avoid stomach problems. Yes, some people take a lot of different things for their stomach, but you know what? Remember the healthy mind, body, and spirit, they all work together. A great benefit, it can reduce insomnia. Women especially need sweet, peaceful sleep. 7 to 8 hours is our recovery time. If we're waking up between 1 and 4, it's usually stress. And I have some fun tips on being able to help counterbalance that or do a little bit preventative. And we also become more optimistic and happier about the future. Who doesn't want to be happier about the future? And then when we're happy about the future, guess what? It's a win-win for everybody. It's contagious. We all have times of negative thoughts. Remember those 80,000 thoughts? And if they're bringing you down and replacing them with positive thoughts just is not working, there's some tips that you can sort of experiment with and just play with. Again, stop and feel your emotion. If you're sad, tell yourself, you haven't always felt this way, and it will pass. Share with someone you're close to and pray. Most women, we reversed it. I've learned over the last couple of decades, I can pray first. And if it's still just gnawing at me or whatever, then I will talk with somebody that I love and trust and that they love me and that they will be encouraging. Remember, we want to be able to be a great support for each other. Do something nice for yourself. Take a bubble bath, put a candle on, put on some music, and just be able to relax. Yes, you can just pretend like you're doing your daily cleansing, your body cleansing, but do it in a way that is really something sweet and nice and kind for yourself. Count your blessings. So many things to be thankful for. Get a piece of paper out. This is great to help with children also. And just write down all the things that you can be thankful for. It doesn't matter how small or how big, breathing, letting your heart beating, being able to see, being able just to speak to somebody. So count your blessings. And there's so many things that we have to be thankful for. Eat well, sleep well, and exercise. Those are some other tips. And when we eat well, you don't have to be perfect. Make good, better, best choices when you're eating. And I don't personally believe in diets. I believe in incredibly healthy nutrition with lower calories. But I'm pushing 70. I'm chasing 70 this year. And I want to continue to live with strength and vitality. And speaking of strength, on one of our other shows, I'm going to tell you about my time I worked out with Arnold Schwarzenegger several decades ago. But sleeping well and exercise. Remember, you either move it or lose it. And it doesn't matter. Even though I was a gym rat in my 20s, I can still do some things now with holy yoga, exercising, some different things. There is no excuse for you not to be able to exercise. Even if you have a smartphone, you can go to YouTube and find some fun exercises. Do something different. I also read the other day, and I have known it for years and years, that habits are incredible when you find new habits to do, and dancing decreases dementia by 76%. Put on some music, dance like nobody's watching, and just have fun. If you don't have somebody to dance with, if you have a pet, pick up your pet and dance with your pet. If you have a teddy bear, pick up your teddy bear. But it doesn't matter. Just do something that is good for you and encouraging and positive. You can make social connections, yes, even though everything is more virtually now. But just like we're doing here, we're getting to connect with each other. We may not be able to physically touch, but we're touching. We're heart to heart. My whole love and goal is to help anybody to be able to learn from things I've experienced and gone through and lived to tell, because I'm still on this journey, but we're here just to help each other. And women especially, we've got an incredible hormone in our brain called oxytocin. And when we're together, when we go shopping, when we go get our hair done or whatever, it increases that oxytocin and that lowers the cortisol levels, which is a good thing. We'll talk about, again, having a healthy mind, including the foods, including all the things, the nutrition that fuel our brain and ways to combat anxiety and the effects of stress. I think it's so fun that when we talk about foods later, that how a walnut looks like a brain, and it's one of the best brain healthy foods that you can have. So you may be curious how I became known to be the healthy sales chick. So when I was 9 years old, I was sitting on my front step, on my front porch, and I got to be out of school that day. It was a beautiful November sunny day, and I was waiting for my mom and dad to come home from Duke Hospital. My dad had been diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease and had gone through several different treatments for about 6 months. So I was so excited that they were finally coming home. And I saw that Volkswagen van coming, driving down the street, up into the driveway. And I ran down the sidewalk, flung open the door. And there was my mom and Uncle Matty, but no dad. So I learned that day that my dad was not coming home again. So fast forward a few years later, my oldest brother, John, whom I dearly love, remember, I think I told you I was raised with 3 brothers. I was next to the youngest. So Anyways, but John had joined the Navy to become a doctor. I was going to be his nurse. When we were younger, I was Nurse Nancy and he was going to be the doctor. So, anyways, while he was in the Navy, becoming educated to become a doctor, learning how to use a microscope, he discovered that he had a large number of white blood cells. He discovered his own leukemia and lived 2 years longer. So my mother lived to be 96, and she was my health nut, my inspiration. I started using so many natural things, and being a 30-year researcher in natural prevention and healthy living really stemmed from, it was birthed from the death of my father and brother, but then it was also inspired by my mother. So that is the reason that one of the things that I have loved about learning and helping other people to learn to live happy lives. So if you find yourself running out of energy before the end of the day, or you even ask, who shrunk my clothes? If you want to age with some vitality and clarity of mind, find out how you can achieve and maintain your best health, contact me. I'd love to have a connection with you. The Healthy Cells Chick for your complimentary 30-minute It's All About You session. You can go to www.TheHealthyCellsChick.com to schedule your session. And I've got some fun quizzes there if you want to take those. And so again, it's www.TheHealthyCellsChick.com. Thank you so much for being with us. I am Nancy White, a 30-plus year health advisor in living the natural, preventative, healthy lifestyle. And please join us for our next episode, Wednesdays at 7 Eastern Standard Time on the Win Win Women TV show. Until then, be blessed and remember to take care of your temporary temple until you get your permanent maintenance-free one. Look forward to talking to you and seeing you again. So grateful for our time together. Bye until the next time.